So I'm over at my house, and truck's been broken down for about a month now. The electronic throttle motor, I think, quit working, so we're gonna see if I can get it over to my parents now so we can get it in the shop and work on it today. Not sure if it's gonna run good enough to get it over there. Might end up having to drag it, but we'll find out. We're gonna try to run it first and see. Can't believe that started. The battery was a little dead. So the truck actually ran perfectly fine today, no issues. Last time I tried to drive it, it had no throttle at all. Wouldn't even stay running because the electronic throttle would just shut and it would kill itself. So gonna be swapping out the throttle motor. Basically it's got a little electromagnetic clutch on it to control the throttle opening. So basically it just pulses that clutch a whole bunch of times to keep it in the right spot. So we'll be pulling the throttle body off to swap that out. As usual, there's the boxes, not showing the unboxing, but this thing traveled the country. It took 26 days to get here, I believe, and it was only going 1,000 miles, but it managed to go like 4,000 miles. So not really sure what's going on there, but finally showed up, so that's a plus. I'm gonna do kind of a walkthrough video on how to do this because these GS400 motors had a whole bunch of issues with these throttle bodies, and it's also pretty much the same throttle body that they put on the JZ motors as well, so it should be fairly similar to that. So we're going to go ahead, start out taking off this intake, which I may end up modifying in this video as well. Not sure yet, but we'll see. So we'll start there, get that off, start taking all the wiring off, and then there's a couple coolant hoses that we'll crimp off with some vice grips or something to keep them from leaking everywhere, and then we can pop those off, and then it's just 4 bolts, throttle body comes off. So we'll do that, kind of show you what we do here, and then get back a little more in depth when we're taking that motor out. I've been having a bunch of issues with this for, well, probably about 1.5 years now. I've already changed the accelerator pedal position sensor, the throttle position sensor. I'm going to change that throttle motor now. Basically, the code that it sets, a lot of people say to just clean the throttle body. Basically, it's a throttle motor or throttle motor or throttle body stuck code. But the throttle body really can't get any cleaner. I've cleaned it a whole bunch of times. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and change that throttle motor out now. Basically, just pull all these screws off here, and then all of this comes off, and then we can get to the inside. So once you take those 6 screws out, then there's just these 3 more in here, and then the throttle motor can come out. So if when you're taking this apart, this little spring washer falls out, it just drops in the bottom there, so no need to worry about that. You just toss it back in, and then slide the new motor in. Make sure you get the grommet in there good, and then you can just put all the screws back together, and it'll be all put back together. So I'm going to just use a little bit of brake grease for putting on these. White lithium would be a little better if you had a tube of that. This stuff should work just fine for what I need it to do, so I'm going to put some of that on there, and then we can go ahead and put it back together. I'm going to unhook the battery now that all of the rest of that is put back together. That way you can clear codes for the throttle body. Just got to leave it unhooked for 10 seconds or so, and it should clear them, and then we'll be back to ripping. Well, moment of truth, see if it's going to run and work. It works so far. She seems to run, throttle seems to work good, so I'm not gonna mess with the intake right now, maybe a little later, but we're gonna take her out and go for a little test drive, make sure that all's good. I had a whole bunch of issues before on like gravel roads and stuff where it's washboardy or bumpy. The throttle would kind of cut it in and out a whole bunch as I was going over bumps. So we've got a whole bunch of gravel roads, so we're gonna go drive and see if we can get it to act up at all and make sure everything's good to go. Well, seems to be good so far. I'm trying to find some good washboards, which this time of year there's a lot of them, so we should be able to find some good bumpy roads to make sure it's all good. But so far seems good. Throttle seems to work good, so should be good. Alright, so we're back from the test drive. The truck seems to be running really good. Haven't had any hiccups with the throttle body yet, so that's a plus. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you already haven't, and leave us comments on what you would like to see for a video of this truck later on, like kind of maybe like what kind of shots you'd like to see of it or what you'd like to know. We'll try to do a good video on it in the future. I know we've said this before, but maybe this time we'll actually do it. So leave us some comments.